Alrighty, what's going on, Macropod peeps? Marcos and I back with another episode. Let me just be really honest with you on this episode. I think it's going to be truly special because it's three guys, three lads, three brothers chatting it up, CrossFit bros, to be quite honest. But today we have an amazing guest, Basil Samara. He and I actually connected in our mentorship with Alan Aragon, who had previously been on a previous episode, who's a researcher, and he's helping us out. And Basil and I connected because we are struggling sometimes with how to coach people in nutrition, and we just want to get some insights from the greatest. And he was talking about how he has been working some leads and getting some nutrition coaching and talking about business. And I was like mesmerized by his knowledge base. So what I wanted to do today was connect him with Marcos and get on the pod. So I think this conversation is going to be CrossFit, nutrition, and just three guys chatting it up. But Basil, I have a question for you. Forerunner Nutrition.
Yeah.
Forerunner. Where did that name come from? Did that come from Halo 3, the Forerunners?
Oh, dude, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, it's just the idea of like what a forerunner is, right? Like the idea is that we're lead from the front. Mm-hmm. And even cooler was like to see when we work with our clients, you get to see it not just transform their lives, but they lead from the front in their household.
Yeah.
So like mainly it's like you get wives, right? Like moms who join and their husbands start to kind of like, hey, what's going on? Or they eat their meal prep. Now their husband's losing weight, but they're not even on a plan. And then their kids' nutrition changes. And so it's like from this position where, you can be a forerunner for those around you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. I love that name. That's great. Well, tell us a little bit more about yourself. Like, how'd you get into the fitness biz? How'd you get into the industry? And what attracted you to coaching? Because I'll be honest with you, Marcos and I, it takes a special personality to be a coach. And so I really respect that. But, being in the CrossFit space and maybe wanting to compete, like how was that history in there, man?
Yeah. So I like everybody started with bodybuilding, right? Came out of that and found out that CrossFit is this way of actually doing something with your fitness. And so I did 150 wall balls for time and realized that I can't do it.
You didn't get wrapped though?
Right. Yeah. That was my goal the first year of CrossFit, was basically like crush myself. So yeah, once I found out that like, a body that aesthetically looks good doesn't mean that it's a body that can, perform. And so that was a really cool intro to CrossFit for me. 2017 did the Open, which is coming up, right? And dude, I started coaching like right out the gate, a year into CrossFit, and just became a student. Like I just loved learning about the whole idea of like safety, technique, and then intensity, right? Like we build from the basics. And so, yeah, from there, and we'll probably dive into it when we talk about the challenge, but I could no longer coach in the gym that I was in. Just the nutrition, the way we handled nutrition, just we weren't helping people the way that I thought that it should go. Yeah. And so started Forerunner Nutrition about a little over a year ago now.
Yeah.
And within the idea, like long story short, is to be the coach that I wish I had, and ultimately one day to be a mentor for those that I wish I had. And so again, just like study, learn as much as I can, and share as much as I can. Yeah.
Holy cow, Marco, serendipitous. Because usually the reason I became a coach is because I needed a coach, right? For the pains that I dealt with, which was I dealt with disordered eating, wrestling, competing at a high level in jiu-jitsu. It's a lot of disordered things, right? Weight cutting. And it's like, there really weren't many people in the space. I mean, the internet was kind of getting around, but getting access to that as a young person and as a competitor, you didn't really know where to talk. Maybe there was the nutrition counselor at school, but they're like, don't do that stuff. And you're like, dude, I'm trying to kill it right now. Come on, like help me out. Yeah. And it does take nutrition pains sometimes to have someone go like, you know what, enough is enough. Let's find a way to mentor. You touched on something there. Without putting any judgment on any space, what was it maybe that was the pain or the struggle from where you were coaching before that you're like, I don't necessarily agree with this, or it's not getting the results that I thought we would get?
Yeah. I mean, you guys know, as we start to like learn nutrition, you're learning the foundations of these things. Well, I was already like in a gym that was providing the challenge framework. And so then I started to understand like what that was doing, like on a nutrition level. I'm like, this isn't helping anybody. You're paying $600. You're rapidly losing weight. And then there's no after. These people, the same people would sign up for a $600 challenge again to lose the same weight. And I'm like, whoa, dude, I'm the coach, and like So I tried to bring education, right? Like I tried to do what I could, but it was every Friday and Saturday we would do a weigh-in, and I would try and like coach and help people standing at the scale. It was like a 5-minute conversation. I'm like, I can't, like, what do I do? You know what I mean? And it's really, I was like, all right, I can't fix this. It's the plan, it's the program, it's the way this is being done that needs to change to be able to get results. But like, that's our phrase. Like we tell people, hey, we want to get you results, but we want to teach you how to maintain them is my biggest thing.
$600 for a 6-week challenge?
Bro,
6 weeks?
$599 for 6 weeks. And it was much less than I'm giving now for mine. And it was crazy. It was wild.
Damn.
I come from the
gym without calling them out?
Huh?
Do I know this gym without calling them out?
Probably not. No, probably not. And I won't name them because it was
is it in Vegas?
It's in Vegas, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it was a really, dude, the guy was a mentor for, like, I'm pretty loyal. I stuck it out and like I just believed what was being told. And hey, like I said, I want to be a mentor that I wish I had. So
yeah,
it was a really big learning lesson. I believe it was a blessing. Like I needed to learn and go through those things. There was a lot of good too. But the idea of like that shaped and molded me and gave me this like disgust for challenges. I actually started the business and I'm like, no challenges ever. We're against them 100%. And then I was like, or we can just do them right. So,
no, exactly. I agree. Dude, that's where I came from too. Where we were just talking about this with one of our mental health psychology guests, where he's like, "What do you think about challenges? Like challenging people?" And we're like, "Yeah, I like challenging people. Maybe a challenge is a jump start." But the challenges that I've seen coaching in this world for like 10 years, there are people that would come back after those 6 weeks, maybe the year later, it's like they gain more weight. I'm like, damn it. Like we got results, but like there's no after or kind of like the sustainability you're talking about,
Yeah.
Follow-up is crucial. Like,
dude.
And I don't know if people are aware of that because I did my first 6-week kind of introduction type of thing leading into the holiday season and then started the next one 6 weeks after.
Mm-hmm.
And with the goal in mind, like the holidays are going to happen. Like maybe you can kind of keep some of these habits around and, like reinvigorate that like passion, like really dial it in again. But like, I'm not going after like here's your 1,200 calorie plan. It's more about like, hey, what am I learning about, people that are repeating this, are they doing better or worse? Right. And it's crazy because I think like you just said, like, I mean, a la Jason Phillips, like he was like so against challenges when I was on his coaching staff back. Fuck, how long has that been? Like 8 years ago? Yeah. A hot minute ago. And yet it was, or maybe was he who the fuck was anti-challenge? Maybe I get my shit confused. No, I don't think he was anti-challenge. Oh yeah, it was anti-challenge. We did like a group community coaching model, right? Mm-hmm. Which is more of like kind of what this challenge really is. It's like, hey, we're trying to get a collaborative effort amongst people. We want you to share ideas with one another and try to like move the needle together. And then everybody's going to have their own individual shortcomings, but let me address that one-to-one versus you thinking you're like failing it, and everyone's rate of return is going to be so different.
Right. Yeah. Well, the idea too, my favorite thing, there's a lot to say about it, but the best part is like, okay, well, how do we win? And like, it doesn't matter what your partner or your friend or whoever's weight is compared to yours. Like the sooner you can accept that this is your journey, right?
Yeah.
The challenge is to actually like follow through and finish and like learn this stuff and put it in action. The challenge isn't who can lose the most weight and then win a prize for maximum amount of weight loss, right? Like we'll give money away, sure, but it's not going to be to the person who can eat less.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
one
second, Seamus. I mean, I have multiple things that I'm quote unquote scoring for individuals in mind. It is community involvement, right? So are you actively participating on the prompts that we have going out every day? Yep. Are you inputting it into the tracker? So there's that daily accountability to self so that it also can be reflected to the coach, right? Again, are you doing your before and after photos? Because people love to not do that, right?
Right. Most important, like really important, right?
Yeah, right. Like, again, like there's some people, they have more weight to lose. They're starting from a different benchmark than you. And so, of course, like you're like, oh yeah, like we actually did a stat last time. Rachel, podcast assistant / also helps you with the challenges, was like, did you know that we lost like collectively X amount of pounds? I was like, dope. Like, because I don't like, again, like I didn't care about that, but when we put all the stats together as a community, I was like, that's actually a really good selling point. And I want more people to do that. Like, I want to talk about how everybody is experiencing this and not just like singling people out. Like one person did better. And crazy enough, last time we had a really difficult time deciding on who won. So we had to go down to like compliance, like how many people like didn't miss a day of actually inputting their stuff into a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Right. And then this time around, dude, I don't even know, like, cause everybody is so active and engaged. Like I think we kind of cracked the code a little bit better. And I'm like, I'm already like, I'm going to defer to like the other coaches. Like, hey, I want you guys to have just subjectively pick who.
Yeah. Greatest transformation, right? We're going to roll with that.
Right. Yeah. And it could be performance related too. Cause like, I'm not there coaching their actual fitness. I'm just here being the nutrition liaison. Right. So-and-so has like been PRing and blah, 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 blah. And like, it's actually, you know, this person is like raving about how good they feel. And like, they're putting more weight on the bar. I'm like, I can't see that. So I have to like get that input for the other coaches. And I'm trying to do that collaboratively. I'm sure you're doing the same too. Like, I mean, I would love to run the challenge in the future where we do benchmark testing with like, hey, go and pick one of your favorite workouts. Like maybe it's Karen, like you just said, the reason why you got in the CrossFit. Yeah. Cool. Go give it your best effort. Let's see if you tuning up your nutrition for 6 weeks and then going back to it actually leads to improvement.
Right. Yeah. Now, so man, I hope that's possible, because that I think is the hardest part, is when we start to get even more into data-driven results. Yeah. Like we need people to actually follow through with it to work. Yeah. But I think in the CrossFit space, it's perfect, because CrossFitters are already, at least that's why I've been excited about working with them. I originally wanted to just help people lose body fat, like just everyday people. Mm-hmm. And then CrossFitters seem to they already have this level of discipline. Like they're already in the position to like follow through and like do what we ask, sort of. And so it's almost like you can guide that discipline. Like you were saying, that'd be sweet to know, like we start to track some benchmark, like hero wads or whatever it might be, to show physical improvement.
People already pay extra, what, $200, $300, so we're going to do a one-day competition. Why not also like see if you can just improve on yourself, right? Like, it would be great to do that and then lead into like an actual, like, hey, West Tech, you know, the competition that we obviously did last year together, that you guys beat us in. Goddamn.
Still feeling some type of way.
I'm not salty. I'm not salty at all. I'm coming for you this year. But you know, you have that like, hey, 6 weeks out, and then the 6 weeks leading up to the actual competition where you get that in-person feel, like, because it's really hard to replicate that energy. I mean, any way to do that, or again, I'd love it for everybody that's actively doing and participating in the challenge. It's just like the open, right? Like, here's day one. We'll all get together Saturday. Hell, it's CrossFit Horse. Let's just call it that, right? And then we do another Saturday 6 weeks later. If people could commit to that, and then in addition to like just trying their best, again, like I'm more about it being fun, realistic, and seeing how those things. Okay, cool. Like was doing it again. Like, hell, Basil, maybe you and me can come up with a little fitness league idea so people would like want to have that as part of their community and just go from gym to gym to gym.
What's the idea of like, there's an Army fitness test that you can either fail or pass, right? And improve upon, right? So you take that kind of standard or idea, and then how can we, because CrossFit's got already the platform to do it, scaled RX, and then you could have an RX plus if you wanted. Yeah, like that would be super cool to be able to bring something like that as a general test of fitness, right? Like come in and you come out with a result, and not just body fat percentage and muscle mass improvement, right? And your weight, but physically tested yourself front and back, right? Yeah. Like that's every marker. Like you can't say that you didn't make progress, right?
Yeah. No, exactly. I love that. Gosh, that makes so much sense, because that's why I hated challenges. Like, I mean, I liked them and hated them at the same time. I was going to say something about like challenges where like, dude, there's a guy that went on the InBody scale once, and like on the Monday, he was like 2 or 3 pounds lighter. And I was like, oh, dude, great job. And then as soon as I said that, he said, oh, I went to the Dodger game and had 2 beers and a hot dog. And I'm like, fuck, I just reinforced like a quote unquote negative behavior. And like, now he's going to feel that like some type of way about like, oh, I could do that again. I'm like, no, you can't. Like, or I mean, you probably could, but it's not the behavior we're probably looking for. But I think I always tell this to my clients and patients. I'm like, if you can find more ways to win, if you can have those performance metrics, your nutrition metrics, your before and afters, and weight and body fat, like, there's just so many more ways to win, instead of going like, oh, I went into this challenge, I didn't see any change on the scale. Yeah, but look at your squat, look at your press, look at your cardio. Right. Like there was like 1,000 things you did over the last like 6 weeks that actually did improve. And it's like the coach's job to showcase, hey, let's guide that discipline like you're talking about, and let's guide like focus. Yeah, you didn't move weight because let's say we put you underneath a DEXA scan. It's because you drop body fat and increase muscle mass. Like it's the same weight, you know? So I always try to make people look at more wins than not.
You're giving me an idea for
defining success, right?
Yeah. Say that again, Basil.
Oh yeah, sorry. It's the idea of like I try and coach like, hey, we're gonna redefine what success is for a second, because most people's definition of success is the scale. And like you were just saying, like, hey, how many other areas can you really win in, right? Like let's share that and like let's expose that first and think about that.
Yeah.
Well, and I can actually attest to this like firsthand. Like, did a DEXA 3 months apart. Scale weight's down like pretty significantly. I had a day where I was like, damn, I'm withering away. But granted, I'm withering away some lean tissue, like muscle mass. And I was like, oh, like that sucks. Like that was kind of a defeating thing. But what it also, like for me, what it kind of reinvigorated was like, hey, that last quarter of my life was me putting a lot more stock into training for high rocks, right? I wasn't really doing anything that was like maximizing like hypertrophy training. Yes, I got better at running, and I definitely feel like my cardiovascular fitness got better, and I don't not appreciate that. But at the same time too, I do have an identity that I tie to when it comes to like the outward shape and body and things that matter more to me. I'm like, I got to turn it back on. I got to start training legs again. Wednesdays are no longer cardio days. So you can use that data that, like you just said, but again, mentally I was like, man, it's the lightest I've been. Sweet. But then also the flip side, I was like, oh, but it's not the lightest leanest I want to be. Right. Yeah. And you got to take those away. And I was going to say, Seamus, I feel like we should pitch that to Zach and Push Press. Like, is there a way to like have an API integrate to your software where people are already logging their scores and their metrics and benchmarks, right? But they're also getting in like some of those biometric data where they can analyze trends of like, oh yeah, like my PRs happen when I'm at X body weight. Cause I know there are some like sport specific things. And having more things tied together would be really helpful. Like a trainer.
You know, it's funny. Okay, this is really funny. This is I'm speaking with a company tomorrow called Hybrid. It's an app, and obviously it's HYBRD, and I'm speaking with like the founder or something like that. And like I want to test drive this app because it's for the hybrid community, the functional fitness community, and it has like data metrics on like strength components, and it has data metrics as opposed to your cardiovascular components. And it's bringing in those biometrics that pull from your Whoop, your ring, your Aura, whatever. Sick. And it's like, okay, like, how did you PR this week? And like, so I wanted to go into that. And I feel like Marcos and I have been talking about artificial intelligence a lot lately, but I was talking with this like artificial intelligence like specialist the other day. And I was like, I would love to see the app that pulls everything together, right? And yeah, absolutely see the time frame, look at your HRV, when to peak, how your training is going, looking at the volume, all this. And I think that hybrid app that I'm going to check out the next few days, I'm going to try to get them on the pod too. I'm actually kind of interested in that because I'm becoming such a data nerd. I'm becoming such a data nerd because of like my macros too. Cause like I'm locking in. I have a challenge, Basil, just between you and us. I'm like, I gotta get shredded for my wedding. So I'm like getting anal about every little thing.
Gotta get the secret sauce.
Yeah, dude.
Hard work and effort.
Plus the extra secrets, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, a little extra yohimbine, in the morning to just help it.
Exactly, dude. I know, I love it. Well, talking about getting shredded and stuff like that, Basil, let's talk about, obviously this whole CrossFit scene, what got you in it. Let's talk about some fundamentals of what you think it means to coach nutrition well. It doesn't even mean getting shredded. It may just mean like, what does it mean to get someone that's never done nutrition, to get them to go from a level 0 to a level 1 person, from a level 1 to maybe that's like, okay, now they understand what it means to eat normally, to maybe managing their weight. And then maybe from managing their weight, they're like, you know what, I'm done with this weight loss thing. I want to perform. Like, let's kind of cover a story there. What do you think about that?
Yeah. So I've been trying to lately, like the past couple months, like teaching has been one thing, but like trying to create like frameworks or like visuals for people to understand. Cause all like us, right? All this data, super cool, like really dope. And we have an idea of like what to do with it, right? Like we know, Marcos, like what you saw on your DEXA, like it is a result, right? Mm-hmm. And that you can change that result. That, right? Which is super cool because people feel like nutrition's not as forgiving as it is. So I don't want to say it's like you know, it's okay to gain weight, or it's okay to like not get success in your first challenge, whatever it is. But the importance of like, you're going to get an answer for what you did, whatever that was, you're going to get a result. And the most important part is knowing, what do you do next? And we can only know what to do next because you showed up all the way through to that part. So like, with all of that said, like anybody who starts, I try to break it into 3 things, right? And then trying to use like this kind of 3-term process, but like we need to get clarity first, right? So most people who come in, they have an idea of what they want, but they don't really know for sure, or have never actually fleshed it out, right? And so we start with clarity, like what's your actual goal? And then more importantly, like why, right? Why do you want that goal? And really get into that detail, because that's our anchor through the season or phase that you're in, right? For us in CrossFit, like I want to be the fittest that I can possibly be right now, right? Well, why do I want that? Well, because I want to be able to pick my wife up out of a burning building anytime, anywhere. I want to pick her up and run. Like for some reason, that's my metric of fitness. And if I can't pick my wife up and run, I have a problem, right? That's my idea.
You gotta learn some technique if she's passed out. There's like the fireman technique of rolling.
I know. I'm trying
to
get her to let me try that.
She needs to be dead weight for like an hour, like just like okay.
Yeah, like that's my workout for the day. Hey, jump on my back. I'm gonna run up and down the stairs. And so like the idea of like clarity, right? The next part is the second most important thing is, and this is the first thing, like after we do clarity, guys, we need to take action. Like, great, we dreamed a little. This is super fun. Like it's cool to talk about, but nothing happens if we do nothing, right? And so we're going to take action. We're going to go from there and talk about the habits, the skills, the tracking, like all the nerd fun stuff, but we're going to teach it in a way that's tangible and like you can actually do something with it. And then ultimately that's going to build confidence for a client, right? So they walk through this process, and then to kind of wrap that all up into one, there's a flywheel that happens. So once you've taken action, we then do assessment, which is where we get to do some self-reflection. Hey, how did it go? How did you feel? What are your metrics? This is the result we got. And then most people don't like their assessment for XYZ. And if we did a good job coaching, they understand what they're seeing and they're like, hey, we got some really good wins here, but I want more, right? Mm-hmm. And then we go from action, assessment into adaptation. And so now we need to adapt. How do we adjust this plan for a new phase, right? Like you were saying, okay, no more running. I want to start training my legs again, or I want to start building muscle. That's the adaptation we're going to make. And then we need to take action again. And we just keep this flywheel going. And ultimately this leads to like, okay, it doesn't need to be super fancy. You just need to do something, do it consistently, and then step back and look at how did it go, right? Yeah. And then you can kind of detach that emotional response, because we all can respond emotionally, right?
Yeah. Marcos, this sounds exactly like the stages of change wheel as well. You just go back to the beginning once you've closed the loop on a habit, and you just go back again.
Yeah. So action,
assessment, action, assessment.
So sorry, I threw both of them at you. So as far as like the CrossFit pyramid kind of look, you have clarity, action, and confidence, but within that you have what I call the adaptation flywheel. So we have action, assess, and adapt. And so this is something we're all doing all the time in our training phases, right?
Yeah.
I like that. That's actually a good visual with like the wheel of that, because it is that one leads to the other, and assessment phase will help you figure those things out.
Yeah. And you tie that to, you guys have heard of Alex Hormozi, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Guaranteed. Good. This is good. We're friends now.
I mean, I was scaling gyms with Gym Launch, so it's like I was in meetings with him. So
actually, Gym Launch was that 6-week challenge. I think that it was their original 6-week challenge that I was running.
Yeah, we interviewed the CEO back in the day.
So we interviewed Ed Turney, who was helping, who was with Prestige Launch, who I still use with my clients today. But like, yeah, Alex Hormozi, like I love him. Like his Gym Launch Secrets books changed our whole gym model. That's where, when we turned that on in like 2019, money was like, oh, semi-privates, gyms were packed, making more times, but I was really at the gym all the time. We bolted on supplements there, boom. But then obviously the lockdown, and then the online skills, the online coaching skills were different. And then that platform was just so much different. But we were still doing really well, and I'd learned a lot of skills. So I attest a lot of my success to Alex Hormozi.
Yeah, that guy's in everything.
Been in some meetings with him. I got to meet him and went to a few of his talks at like a few seminars. he's just he just does what he says he does. So like, he's just in congruency with like that. I love all the business stuff, but I think for those listening, I think one thing we'll say, because I did talk with Marcos about this, I got too deep into it and I just wasn't ready for it, and I like personally burnt myself out because I was like in overdrive, realizing like, oh, there's seasons and phases of what he's trying to talk about, and I was trying to just do everything all at once, and I was like, I'm not even nowhere near close to like what this guy's talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, you know?
Yeah. There's like a thing, I set a rule that if I'm going to sit down.
There's the book.
Yeah. Don't worry. We got it too.
Right. Can't wait for $100 million money models. That's like the next book, you know?
I think he's coming out with sales, right? Is the next one? Or
so
no?
that's what they said. That's what they're thinking. But I felt like he already wrote like money models. So if I don't know if you ever get any of the Gym Launch like things, but in Gym Launch, the book, there's a whole chapter called like money models. And then Gym Launch came out with like a 150-page PDF of money models. Like, so like Marcos, this is what we were talking about before. Instead of, every month doing something, it's every week you're doing something.
Yeah.
All these little things. So he talked about like getting an extra in that money models book. And I was like, oh, so that's those concepts on steroids with his book.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Hopefully that's what he comes out with next, because that would be, but I think it would make sense to be sales because it's leads, sales, and then money models.
Yeah. Wait, who knows? Whatever he's come out with, I'll buy it.
Got my acquisition hat and everything.
Right.
No,
he's
I bring the school hat. He's rocking the school hat now.
Oh yeah, he's all school now. That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, bring that dude up because when I was sitting down and thinking about those three terms, he has the phrase like, "You can't fail if you don't quit," and so that's literally that flywheel. Like, if you don't quit, you just take action again, and you can't lose because you're just constantly adapting to the result that you're getting. Right?
Yeah. That's actually really good.
It's brilliant. Like, and I think the visual for me, it sticks. And you're right. Like, it is me. Like, I got to that assessment phase, and I looked at my result at that time, and I'm like, yeah, like, I didn't necessarily need the DEXA to tell me that like I looked like I had a little more body fat. Then I was like, like maybe I need to clean things up. Maybe I need to like take a look at the training. And sure enough, I was like, oh, what was I? The nice thing is that when you have enough data on yourself, you can look back like, what was I doing here?
Right.
And I was like, oddly enough, I was like, damn, when I actually came down from like big boy Marcos down to like being relatively lean, it's like I got to my lowest low because I had so much to give, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the body had more to kind of give up. And now it's like trying to hover in maintenance. There's going to be some trade-offs. It's really hard. I'm like, all right, that's it. All right, here goes full blown. I'm getting a light surplus now. Like, and I'm going to get back into actually documenting all my training again, because that's where I saw that uptick of like that lean tissue response. I was like, okay, that's not hard. I just got to like literally get back to my journaling of my workouts. I just literally put it in the trainer eyes. That way I'm kind of progressively overloading. I started lighter. I'm going to make like 5-pound jumps because there's no rush. And I just got to keep challenging myself because, those things are fun to me. And ironically, like I don't need a whole lot of changing of my pace in the gym personally, but I know a lot of people can get very bored. And I was like, dude, if you only knew how little you have to tweak to kind of still see those gains stack up, especially like in bodybuilding more specifically, like you got to give yourself a lot of runway and time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, patience for sure. And it's just like, do it well, right? And then just get good at it, right? There's no need, and what worked. Yeah, you progressively overload, right? Like what worked for you before, or what's working like that we know works. Let's do that.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Just give it like enough time too. I think I'm problematic. I'm like probably like the worst client because I seek novelty so much like in my programming because I just love different things, like Marcos knows I was like on a functional patterns thing for like a month, and then I was doing like this program for a month, and then but I'm always doing it because I'm experimenting, but the main program is always the same. It's like the 6 fundamental movement patterns that I need. And then I just add and sprinkle in those little novelty things. Like I always make room for that. If you've looked at my program for like the last 3 years, it's all on Trainer Eyes. And it's like, oh, it's kind of similar things like push, pull legs or full body. And it's just 3 days per week. And then he adds in a little something here just because he wants to add in a little novelty. Or he's like, some days I just see a move on Instagram. I'm like, oh, I forgot. I haven't done reverse hypers in a while. I got to put that back in the program. It's like little things like that like there's so much, human movement is so beautiful because there's just so many ways that like you can get after it that like you just I've never like I don't think I'm ever gonna get bored.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm pretty much, if somebody says like TTT, like I trust them. I love their kind of science-based approach. If they told me I need to walk on my hands every day, like, and that's all I'm gonna do for 6 months, I would do it just because I trust. But now, obviously, you got to test afterward. Like, did I get fitter? But like, I kind of like, just tell me what to do. I don't care what it is. Like, I'll just do it, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Let them program for me. They're the pros, like at that level. Like, that's why I'm paying them. Like, I'm good.
So, question for you then: for your training, is yours with a one-to-one assigned coach, or is it more in like a group?
Yeah, it's just their compete program. Like, and you get access to like these kind of branches and stuff. Yeah, that's how we kind of approach it. Me and my wife do it together.
Okay.
Is your wife competing too, or like in CrossFit as well?
So she kind of, yeah. So she's a superhuman. I don't know how she recovers so well. So, but
women usually do, apparently.
Oh my gosh, dude! So her lifts are ridiculous. Like, she's just so strong. So her gymnastics is catching up. But once she gets her gymnastics, dude, she's gonna be unstoppable. Like, she just got her bar muscle ups. She just got chest to bars, and I think she overreached on volume a little bit, so she's recovering. Like right at that tricep, like right where it runs up.
Oh shit! Yeah.
So just like some weird stuff with that, but yeah. So we both do TTT together, but she's kind of that same thing. Like, some of this is dumb. I'm like, just do it. It's okay.
Is it all the monostructural work? You're like, it's not really that dumb, but it's boring.
Yeah, it's boring, right? So
dude,
right?
Dude, it's boring, but it's so necessary. It's honestly. So I've been doing aerobic capacity work for the last like year and a half with Chris Henshaw, like his program.
Oh,
and
nice.
I sent it over to Marcos. It's the same program I've been doing for like the last forever, but I've went from
was that the half
1 day? The half marathon program.
Yeah.
I went from 1 day of running for this first half marathon we did last year. Then the next half marathon we did the next year after, or the later half of the year with the high rocks. So it was like half marathon and high rocks, and then half marathon high rocks. So it's like the first 6 months, the next 6 months. And it went from like 1 day of running on a pure hypertrophy program. And then the next one was like a pure hypertrophy program with 2 days of running. And then the back end of it, I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I need to really train high rocks and this aerobic capacity. So 2 days of running. And then the training program went purely to high rocks with like, hypertrophy, functional fitness in there still, but purely like gauging for the competition.
Yeah.
Took 30 minutes off our high rocks, took like 6 minutes off our half marathon. It was really good. And then we did the teams one, and that one was primarily. And then now I have another half marathon, and I told Marcos, I'm like, I need to really follow the fucking program. Like, I need to like not freestyle it, because like I'm a strength and conditioning coach. Like, I got my background in exercise science. I know what's best for me. No, I don't. Like, I need to like actually do the program, and I've been following the program. I'll tell you right now, 3 days of running from 2 days is actually a lot of volume. Like, going from 2 to 3 is like insane. There's a lot of mono work where you're just doing zone 2. You're a lot of doing intervals, and it's just like, dang, this is actually a lot of work in the recovery. Like, your wife, like, dude, you have to recover. Like, I had to move some days around. Like, it's something else, man.
Yeah. It's always hard to get somebody to do that zone 2 stuff. And you're like, I promise it's helping. I promise.
It does help the fitness. I will attest to that, because it was like 1 day, then into 2, then to 3, like I said. And the slow, like the slow, steady stuff, like it carries over so well. Like, I mean, even again, just pushing the sled, the ability to recover while still running. Like, I was getting a heart rate to come down while I'm like still at a 6 minute or 6 mile per hour pace, like on the treadmill. I was like, this is pretty bananas. Like, it's pretty crazy to watch your response actually change like that. But then again, I'm like, yeah, I want to be all show, no go. So
dude, that was me at the high rocks, bro. Like, so first off, okay, let me be honest. So, Basil, I know I'm trying to get you to do the high rocks, but I might just speak you out of it right now. There's a difference. There's 3 ways to do it. Marcos did it probably the best way, which is the 2-person, right?
That's what we're thinking. Me and my wife are thinking about just doing it together.
Yeah.
Mixed doubles is great.
I would say don't travel to do it. Just wait till it comes back to Vegas whenever that happens.
I'm in no rush to do it.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll come to you.
Yeah.
I've done a few mixed doubles with me and my fiance. The first time, I felt like I was letting her down, because after the sled, dude, I told Marcos, I said, I fucking hit the sled, had no technique with the sled, and I just sprinted it, that it took me 5 rounds of the whole race to like come back. And then the second one, because of that sled issue, there was no communication. She's like, "Are you good?" And I was just like running and doing all the workouts, just trying to like find my way back to like my life. And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Shut up, don't talk to me." And then the second time, I was over communicating because we truly trained well for it. Everything was good. I was like, "Let's pace this hard. Let's watch our heart rate. Let's go." Like, I just had its plan because I actually trained, knew the technique. And then I would say the mix is really good. But if you were to do the relay is kind of insidious because it's a little sinister because you're like, oh, 2 stations. That's it. Okay, there's 4 of us.
Yeah.
I fucking blew that shit up so hard. I went so ham that I sprinted my 1K so fast. I think I did it in like 4 something. I sprint that thing so fast. And then I went right into burpee broad jumps. I sprinted through the first 40 meters. And then the second 40 meters, the world started turning black. I was like, oh, I'm here. I'm alive. Like, but I'm like going through it. I didn't stop. And then I finished the 1K and it took me 30 minutes. It took me 30 minutes of drinking water, sitting there going, oh shit, I have to do these wall balls. I gotta go back. I got my next station. And I would tell you if you were to do the relay, yeah, be careful because you're just like, I literally told myself,
he's
I'm
more
like,
prepared than you though, Seamus, because
Yeah,
that's
he is.
more of a CrossFit stimulus.
I was gonna say the run, I'm not gonna. I gotta pick my battles, but that's what I thought. I was like, okay, movement shows up. I'm pretty explosive, but my run is not great, dude. It's not good.
But I'm saying like the relay where it's 4 of you doing
Yeah.
8, right? Like it is so much more like a kind of Fran kind of experience, right?
Hammer it, recover, right? Then you do it again. Like
Yeah.
it's the what would you grid, right? Those dudes
Yeah.
you just sprint and then you just recover.
Yeah.
I need to do more of that. That's what I needed for the relay. I was training for it like a mixed. Like an endurance style, which, yeah, it took me 30 minutes to recover. I did the wall balls. I did them unbroken. I'm really happy. Fucking Red Bull needs to give me the patch.
That's dope. That's 100?
Yeah, 100, 14 pounds or something like that. Or 60
Oh, 14 pounds. Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
It's
Yeah.
still good, dude. 100 unbroken wall balls at that.
After a 1K, it's like,
Yeah.
you know.
But the experience of that though, like again, from an event standpoint, like the way that they have it set up, and I think I've talked about it on here before, it was, again, it's kind of what you want out of a CrossFit competition in a sense, where it's like if you were to just go in, bang it out, and then you just leave, or you can kind of hang around. But sometimes like the trudgery of like that all day, just like depending on if it's too hot or like not enough shade, you know what I mean? You're just like, dude, we really gotta go do this last workout right now. Like everybody's been there, like at a local competition where it's like, you're like, dude, like let's just like, you guys are just gonna win, right? And then we all get there, like, all right, no, we're gonna try to beat you guys in this last workout. Like it just like turns on. But
I
you're
still
so
don't know how we
good.
pull that out. Like how, because I'm like for sure, like I'm not moving on this next one, and then you get on the floor and you're like, I think I could go one more.
I got it. The adrenaline's gonna take me. There's only 5 of us here, so all like anybody, like all we gotta do is beat that team next to us, right? Like that's all it takes. So
Dude, it's all mental talk. I really said in my head, I was like, you're just dying right now. That's okay. You're just gonna die, Seamus. You don't have a choice. Go die. I really think it's all mental at some point.
So I do have a question though for you, Basil. So like, so you started at this, particular gym, kind of came up with this like new idea, re-envision your challenge 2.0 model, right? And how you're going to introduce like that kind of framework along with it so they can kind of continually reassess everything, right, as they're going through that. And then phases, like you mentioned phases as well, right? Do you usually tell people there's clear-cut phases like Seamus was saying, where it's like, okay, you have like this clarity phase and it's like just build consistency so you can understand, then into like deficit, or like what verbiage do you like to use with like the, types of people you're working with now?
Yeah, as far as phases go?
Yeah, like do you even call them phases, or is it just like, hey, we're performance phase and like, hey, we're going to kind of just get into like off-season mode? Like, what is that? What does your language look like for your clients?
Yeah, so when we go through the actual challenge of 6 weeks, and if I cut out here, I apologize. I think my internet is being a little shoddy. But the challenge itself, I don't speak about phases until the last week. And so really what we do through the first 5 weeks is going through the idea of like, let's just walk through some of the major struggles that we have. Like you have a nutrition plan. Now let's like walk through some of the barriers like that would come up against you in being able to actually do it, right? Like, because we know that you can give someone a plan, but like implementing it is the thing that people need help with, right? Like they can Google whatever they want, but nobody's actually doing anything. And so once we go through all of that, like identifying barriers and basically making it easier to do the plan out the gate, because we know the plan will get results. It's been designed that way, but it's the doing it part. So once we get to the end, I go, hey guys, just because you're ending this challenge and you're not going to have a coach maybe anymore, there's some things that we need to make sure are in place for you to succeed. Right. And so that's where we'll talk about, I dive into something called a setback action plan. And so it's like, hey, we know that setbacks are going to come, weddings, birthday parties, all of these things. Like you need to have a plan for when that happens, because that's one of the things that will derail somebody and then they don't come back. Right. And I always like to say, like, we need a routine for when we don't have our regular routine. Right. And so you got to actually build that. And so through all of that, we talk about phases and say, hey, like weight loss is not the only phase, right? Maintenance is a real thing, right? Just because you're not losing.
Can you pause on that for a second? Because I've literally worked with so many people that are like, oh, I've just been trying to lose weight for years. Yeah. And like, can you just tell people like why trying to lose weight all the time probably isn't the best thing?
Yeah. Well, there's like a couple of things. And Marcos, I'm sure you've run into this, dude. How many people finish the 6-week challenge? And I go, hey, so what's your game plan next? And they're like, well, I was just going to ride this out until I hit my goal. And I'm like, okay, like, why do you think that's a good idea? Right? Like, that's because of what they've been taught on the internet or what they've done in the past, or they don't know any better. And so, like you said, we can't ride out weight loss for 20 something weeks. I'm just going to say it. Probably not a good idea. Maybe some people can, I don't know, but not a good idea, because what happens, one, they're going to do it by themselves. It's not going to be perfect. One, two, if their body plateaus, they usually just throw it in the trash. This doesn't work for me. It worked for a while and then it stopped working, and then they rebound really hard. Right. But two, you start to, if you're in a deficit forever, I would be worried about potential muscle mass coming off as well. So there's like these like lists of things that, if we can get the point across of like, hey, maintenance is a real thing. You want to do a couple weeks of maintenance and like enjoy yourself. 80-20 rule, moderation, foods you enjoy is okay, right? Your weight's going to fluctuate. This is how you tell if you're in maintenance, that kind of stuff, like just basics. And then, dude, go for it. You want to pursue a fat loss phase again, do it. But I want my clients to be able to pick. I don't want someone to just fall into gaining fat because they don't know any better. I want them to know like, hey, I actually just need a break. I'm going to go 4 weeks of just like maintaining my weight and then pursue a fat loss phase. Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers your question, but it's an idea.
That's a good point, because I've just worked with so many people where they're like, I've worked with them before they went away, came back, or they've just told me, and they're like, I've just been perpetually trying to lose weight. And I'm like, well, how's that going for you? And it's like, it hasn't. And it's like, their whole mindset is, and I've struggled with this too, because like that was my whole life for a long time with wrestling and combat sports. But it's like their whole identity was I just want to lose weight. And it's like, well, I don't know what's going on, because it's like you're obsessed with this idea, but you're not acting in a way that's doing it. And you're probably creating like unhealthy like coping mechanisms, and you're probably trying to do the weight loss. And I've seen this before where it's like, then you just kind of like binge out of it, or you have like a stressful time. You don't have any skills, right? To develop in a time frame that you needed to have sustainability and maintenance mode on. That was like probably more realistic.
Yeah. And I keep throwing these phrases. Like I said, I really sat down and tried to figure out some easy like terms. And so like when you're talking about coping, right, or when you're in the assessment phase of like what we were talking about with the flywheel, there's something that we'll call it the when, where, and whys. And so like if something's happening like a binge, or all of a sudden you're gaining weight, or you find yourself really, really hungry, and like we want to identify, when is it happening? Is it every Friday, right? Yep. At night after work, where, right? It's in front of the TV with my spouse, and then why? So most people are like, they didn't eat all day because it was busy and they forgot. They weren't really hungry. And then they get to dinner, and then it's the middle of the night and they're up still when they shouldn't be in general. Like nobody's staying up past 10 o'clock and not eating food. in front of the Netflix, right? And or like me, like I'm guilty of this. Like I respond to a long stressful day and like wind down with a pizza and my wife. Like that's my way of like feel good. Like it's what we do. And so if you can identify it, right?
What kind of pie?
Dude, I love pizza, bro. So if I could have anything, it's always deep dish.
Oh, okay. So where are you getting a deep dish pizzas in Las Vegas?
Nowhere fancy. But Marco's does it, and I think Little Caesars does it. It's like cheap and it's near us.
Okay.
It's bread covered in cheese.
Marcos loves the pizza, man.
Hey, we're more of a Grimaldi's or make it on our own kind of.
Dude, I want to make it on my own. That's my next. I've been watching a lot of. That's my feed on YouTube is bread recipes right now.
Okay.
Marcos is getting me into making my own sourdough. We've been talking about it.
Okay, dude. So yeah, my wife wants to do that too. Yeah.
Well, if you need a starter, one of my clients, she'll be more than happy to give you a little sourdough starter you guys can fuck around with. But
dude, I will
sorry,
hit you up.
Cut you off, but like you said, pizza.
No,
I'm just like, it's funny because you're talking about all these things. Like, I just want to like after today, it's like, dude, I feel like my mind's been on since like literally 6:50 this morning with like my BNI meeting, and then we're at 5 p.m. right? So I'm like, I haven't even eaten my protein today. Like I have no desire to even want to cook this this dish. I want to do the exact same thing. So you've mentioned that. I was like, oh, but what pizza? What pizza would it be?
Right.
Normal pizza for us is on Thursdays.
Well, hey, you gotta be careful because Wednesday is my day where I can have indulgence. It's part of my plan. So I'm like, shit.
It's part of my
pizza.
plan.
No, it is. I've learned. So there's something about when you talk about this when, where, and what kind of concept you're talking about, like the when these patterns happen. I've realized about myself that when I have a plan and I'm going deep, I need to build in indulgence times. I don't even like the word cheat days, but I indulge in that word with people because it's there, but it has this connotation, right? Or I tell people treat or like refeed meal or whatever, right?
Yeah.
All these different terms. And I tell them like, when do you think you need that? And what do you want? And like, if we can get specific about that, I've seen people lose, like, for example, a fat loss phase, people lose weight and they're like, every Saturday I like to hang out with my brother and we have this lunch and it's like this thing. And I'm like, okay, cool. If we can commit to that and like that's the thing, because now they have a plan to their indulgence instead of just like freestyling it and going
Right.
like, oh, coach, I just went off the ham and like, what was it? It's like, well, I had this ice cream, I had this, and then I went that, and I'm like, okay, we know that the indulgence time is happening. Can we just be honest with ourselves and go, hey, can we put a little constraint on it? You're still gonna have the indulgence. You're still gonna have that hit, that dopamine hit you're looking for. But now it's just a little bit more controlled. And I've noticed people really move, and really get great results with it being part of their plan, not something that they ridicule,
Yeah, I usually say there's a couple of things. There's a story with this too. It's hilarious. But the idea of like, hey, you're gonna enjoy a meal. I'll just tell the story. The client, really quick. It was her birthday. Birthday's coming up. I think it was mid-challenge, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
I said, go ham. Enjoy your birthday. Favorite chocolate cake's coming. I'm like, go for it. But you have to hit your basics. You can do whatever you want for your birthday, but you have to hit your basics. And so you're not allowed to not eat breakfast and not eat lunch to save room for dinner. Like, so you have to hit your protein goal for the day. We want to make sure you get that water in. Oh, I think I cut out.
No, you're good.
You're good.
Did I cut out there for a second?
Just a second, but you're good though.
Yeah, so you want to hit your water, right? You get some movement in. And so this, she's like one of my biggest fans, man. I've been working for a while. So she gets there. We talk on our feedback session. And she's like, I am so mad at you right now. I'm like, what? Like, what happened? She's like, that cake that I said I love so much? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, I only was able to eat one slice. She was physically satisfied with the dinner she had. She got to have cake, but because she took care of the basics, she didn't overreach in the treat meal, right?
That's a great point. Yeah. It's not this. I think a lot of people, when it comes to this like dopamine thing, what I've realized coaching a lot of people in this is that the idea of the whole cake is so fucking good, right? Like the whole pizza, right? But when you think about it the day afterwards, you probably have this feeling of regret, guilt, and shame. But what if you just had the slice? You got everything you wanted, but none of the bullshit, right? And I think what you're trying to teach them there is like, you give everything that they need nutriently, metabolically, whatever, and they still got to do what they wanted, but they didn't eat the whole fucking thing.
Right.
And they
Mhm.
feel good. They got the hit that they wanted, but they're not feeling great. Like, yeah, I had a slice of cake. Okay. Like, not beating themselves up anymore.
Right.
They're not
Yeah.
falling into this pattern behavior. Yeah.
You're not gonna undo all of your progress with one meal.
Yeah.
It's
Oh.
what happens around the meal, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I always like, there's so many ways to spin it. I like the basics day approach because it's like, again, like that's like your non-negotiable in your coaching philosophy. To me, I'm like, again, got to hit our, like my bare ass minimum for you is your daily protein. So it's like, how are we front loading and eliminating potential calories? I'm like, your meals aren't going to look very sexy, you know, to try to hit your goals to like really work in like that dinner meal. And I usually question event versus outing, right? Like, is this like last minute, y'all are just getting together? Like you didn't really have it planned. It wasn't like your birthday, right? Like you just said. And I was like, it's just an outing, right? You got to do like, you did the basics and you should be good, right? Like you have a little bit, but it's really hard to overreach, right? If you've done that. But then the outing, I'm like, dude, like, and people are like, what do you do? And it's like I go ham, but like sometimes I'm in the moment, I'm like, this is enough. Like, but learning how to say enough is enough is kind of a weird thing because you haven't trained yourself to, it's always like all or nothing. I mean, it's like breaking that mindset that's such a thing that's getting ingrained. And I mean, one of my clients right now, like, dude, it's the funniest thing. He signed up for the challenge. He got his plan. He just stuck to the basics really well. Never communicated whatsoever. Ended up signing up for one-on-one coaching because he's like, I really felt like I made great progress. I'd like to see it further. I was like, I don't even talk to you, dude. What the hell?
Those are the unicorns, bro.
Those are the unicorns. I'm like, this will never happen again. But right now he's like, I just can't get into the momentum that I had when I just started with the plan. I was like, okay, well, why don't use like Foodie Fit or some of our local, you know, things here to help just like supply you with the food. Yeah. Like, yeah, that sounds great, but I don't want to rely on it. And I was like, dude, it's not you relying on it. It's you using it for this phase where you're having a hard time just getting like, you know, understanding that you can have a week where you use it and a week where you don't based on your time allotment. Right. Same thing. So it's like event versus outing, things that you can do. Like the mind just plays all these really interesting tricks on you. And at the end of the day, like helping people overcome that or having little different ways of approaching that day. Like I like the this is your hit your basics first day. For certain people, I might need to steal that from you, I'm being honest. Or continue to use like, hey, like event versus outing, or again too, like again, like there's probably a million different ways to try to spin it. But I think the beauty of like coaching is like, you know, once we can get client autonomy where they're like, they come back to us, like you said, like, dude, I fucking hate you. It's like, you hate me in a good way though, don't you? It's like, yeah, because like all I did was hear you in the back of my head. Or my favorite
phrase,
my favorite one is like the client that's been around with you for a while and is like, I hate you, but I love you. I was like, why do you hate me? Well, I have to buy a whole new wardrobe this year. Right.
Yeah. Good problem.
My bathing suits from last summer don't fit. It's like, and those were brand new last summer. It's like, oh yeah, we're continuing to see progress. That's awesome.
I had somebody skip a whole, what did she say? She skipped a whole size. So she didn't even get to put the clothes on. She just straight up passed them. I'm like, hey, that's what happens when cause she didn't measure. We were just kind of getting after it. And she like all of a sudden she's like, oh, I need to buy new clothes now.
Yeah.
Good problems. Yeah. I'd say this to myself. So literally like you guys tell me if I'm wrong, like the things that we coach, we're literally walking through, right? I always tell them, no one's safe from the things I'm teaching you. Like I need this too. Mm-hmm. And like, I have to tell myself constantly, like a day you're having right now, right? Where your brain is just on, like you're like right up against the wall. And like, I have to remind myself, if you eat, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Right. And then it literally like, if I eat, I have meal prep. Yeah. If I eat it, I'll be totally fine. I really want a whole pizza and I don't do a slice. Like I'm eating the whole thing. Yeah. Because I'm just going to go in and I'll validate it. Well, calorie wise, you know, I could probably use it.
You're like, I gotta hit a workout tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. You did some mental gymnastics and math, dude.
Right. Yeah. It's just all right. You know, I can do some movement. So it's the idea of like these little phrases, like know your client one, and then I have a toolbox of ways to meet them where they're at. Versus this idea of like the way that the old gym used to coach was like, you're not allowed to deviate. Like this is how it works. Don't ask questions. Just do it. Right. As opposed to like a real coach is meeting a client where they're at and like, how can I help walk you through these barriers or around them, right? But also teach you how we did it, right? And then send you off. Like, you don't need me anymore. Like, we get to work together because this is fun, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too, like, you'll make less exceptions in order to get exceptional. And like the progress in the spot that I was at, honestly, I felt like, man, like I'm doing this and I feel like I'm at an exceptional level. And I was like, but there is some trade-offs to it. My wife was like, your face is like sunken in too far. I was like, oh shit. Okay. Well, like, I didn't mean to take it that far, but like, I was also chasing this number like last year, trying to get to my birthday. I was like, I got to where I wanted, but I was like, maybe I can get to like 5%. What would that look like? And then she made a comment and I was like, I was this close. I feel like I had like another 3 weeks and I could have just maybe got a little striated glute for like half a second and then been like, all right, cool, I'm out. But now I never got there. It's the fucking unicorn. I'm like, oh man, did I miss my chance to like hit this number? And again, like purely just an objective thing. I don't think I would have felt any better or wanted to keep that up. I definitely like where I'm at. But at the same time too, it's like you're saying here, it's like we have to apply these things and we have to choose whether or not we're going to apply it at that exceptional level at times. Or again, like, you know, where are we in this current quarter, right? Am I going to take every Thursday to have the deep dish pizza or pizza night with the family or insert whatever that thing is that's like a critical thing and based on your needs? And, you know, the last 6 months, maintenance has kind of looked like that. And I was like, man, I've actually was still able to make progress on a particular number, if you will. But it also meant that there was a certain level of detail that had to be done. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right that like, we can't escape it. We're no different. We're maybe a little bit better at like getting back on the horse after we've fallen off than people because we know kind of what to expect and how our bodies will respond. But ain't it a bitch when you wake up the next morning after your pizza day and you're lighter and your abs look better and you're just like, maybe I wish I could eat this all the
time. Yeah. No, it's true. I think someone said it best, but like I think it was like a Tiger Woods' coach. He's like, I'm a coach and I'm coaching the world's elite, right? And he's like, I can't swing for shit, but I'm coaching somebody. I think coaches are normal people. They're guided, you know, they're guides on the sides. They're the ones that know the frameworks and can, you know, work objectively. And I think being a coach for yourself sometimes it's good. But when you take on that identity and because you're a leader of others, you're like, you realize, oh, these actions do have quite the ramifications. Like I'd had my trip to New York, right? Basil, we were talking about that last week. And I was like, the first thing that I was so excited about was there was basically this place called Amish Farms right across my hotel. And I had a kitchen and I was like, thank God. It's like a breakfast, lunch, dinner. Everything was still on plan. I used the hand portion method from like PN.
Nice. Yeah.
And I was drinking like kombucha every day. I was walking more steps than I ever walked because I'm in New York compared to LA. I don't do that as much. And I was like, I came back and I was actually lighter and I was like, cool. And my performance was good because I was still training every day.
That's really
but
tough.
Like, it's hard when you can't, how do I say this? What I don't like about like that protocol that like the gym was talking about, like, no, you can just do this. You have to focus and like all this. That rigidity is, can it be trained? Can that rigidity apply across multiple domains? If it can't, then we know it's not sustainable. So like for me, if I can do the same success that I had in LA and do the same success in New York or the same success in another place, then we know that system works and is sustainable. And I think that's like what you're trying to put out there for your clients.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. It's again, like I tell people, if you're white knuckling your way through a plan, like barely trying to hang on, then you're doing it wrong. That's not the way it should be. And if that feels that way, you need to tell me immediately. Cause I'd rather what you walk away, hey, so what? You lost 0.5 a week. Like, let's talk about it. That's good, right? That's okay as well, right? Depending on your goal, like that might be ideal. But to know that that's an acceptable number and counts as weight loss consistently versus like, I had somebody tell me in 6 weeks they wanted to lose 20 plus pounds.
Yeah.
And I went and did their numbers. They're at like 1.8 a week. I'm like, you're at like the upper ranges of what we're looking for. And they just don't know, right? And so
people think it's like a math problem. Like this guy just came in today for a DEXA scan. So I'm going to preface this. He was the same weight and pretty much the same body fat and the same fat percentage and gained like 2 or 3 pounds of like a pound or two of muscle in the last year. And he was so devastated by that. And let me tell you, I thought it was a positive because he had traveled 8 times to Europe, Asia, Midwest, 8 times. And I said, can I just commend you? Like, you are amazing. Like, you maintained your weight over the last 8 months when you traveled 16 times in the air, pretty much, 8 times, travel is usually a big thing for people. And he just didn't get it. Like, he was just like, so he's like, so Seamus, what if I just sprint for an hour straight every day for the next 6 months and like put on a major calorie deficit, like I'm going to lose this percentage of body fat, right? And I said the first, like I could do that, right? And the first thing I said was like, good luck, like, you know, like the human behavior and the math don't work. You could literally tell me, like that person that they're talking about, like get you to a calorie deficit, like 1,200 calories, whatever calories, right? Math makes sense. But the mental gymnastics and the behavior that we're going to deal with that math,
Right.
you're not going to hit that every week.
Yeah, dude. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, we can't. That's what coaches are for, though, is to help, like, be like, again, let me help you reanalyze this. Let me tell you how good you really are doing. Because it's like, again, it can feel very defeating. I don't know what your client's starting weight was, but it was like, was that like 1% of their body weight per week?
Yeah. Like, just over maybe. Yeah. It was, again, it was the idea of, they didn't even look at it that way. They just thought, if it's not this, then I'm losing or failing, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's always like the way that you approach the number for people. Like, dude, you're 90% of what you used to be. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
However it makes it seem like it's bigger than it actually is, in a sense. Like,
right.
I did some math earlier, and like I did it one way and my coworker did it another. So I did 0.8 times whatever the number was, because we're looking at a cost for a lab. And then she went in and did, like, typed out the whole number minus 20%. And I was like, I didn't even know the calculator could do that. Like, minus 20% of what? The calculator knows that it was 20% of the original number. And so we're staring at this and she's like, your math makes no sense. Like, your math makes no sense. But however, but like, again, two different brains, two different ways of kind of talking about that. And again, like, oh, well, I would have expected that it would have been, like you said, 20 pounds. Like, yeah, but you got 16. Like,
right.
You know,
look at their history too, right? Like this person did, in December, they did keto and they dropped like great, when we all know what happens when you do. Yeah. So I tried to explain that, and that the plateau that you saw it's broken. It just, you're actually like, this is where you're starting if you're going to go into a deficit. So like her mentality was, that's what happens when you do or pursue weight loss. And so like you said, like how you approach the brain, right? Like, well, what have you done in the past, or what do you think is normal? And again, the challenge is the opportunity for me to like, I'm going to set a new standard. I want you to forget everything you know for a second and just walk with me through this. Again, we're going to get a result, and no matter what, you know what you did to get it. And then we can talk next steps on what to do about that. Right.
Yeah.
And even people who try and like game the challenge, where I had someone, she ate all non-workout days, nutrition every day, and then she did CrossFit 6 times a week. And she's a little older, and she lost some weight, and she got on the InBody at the end and lost muscle mass strictly. And she was upset. And I'm like, well, did you follow the plan? She goes, yes. And I go, did you do workout and non-workout days? And she goes, no, I just did all non-workout. I'm like, I told you what would happen, right? So this is the cool part. Not cool part, but it sucks. But again, the numbers don't lie. Her son did it too. And he followed the same plan as her. He lost muscle mass as well. Both of them, same household, right? So there's this idea of like, it's not about eating less. Like, let's rule that out. Let's forget that that's what is going on here. I need you to eat enough clean whole food and just follow the portions, and we'll talk about why as we go, but just do what we did. So as far as rigidity, like, just do what I tell you for now, and I'll explain why and how it works. Yeah. But this is not weight loss. This is not a challenge to like sprint.
It's so hard to tell someone, because I think even the fitness industry, nutrition coaches, and like even me, like, it's hard to say eat less, but the best way to actually say it is probably eat more voluminous food,
right?
That is lower in caloric density. But it's like, when you say more, people go like, oh, he wants me to eat more. Like, and it messes with people. It's like, yes, I want you to eat more whole calorically dense foods, but the energy of it is, and the way it works in your biochemistry is, like, for example, I was on a call with a client today, and he's like, well, you know, like, I'm always hungry, but I'm eating these protein things. I'm like, you know, like a protein shake. I'm like, you know, that protein shake's like 100 calories, 25 grams of protein, whatever, you know, but it's probably not satiating. What we could do is probably like a Greek yogurt, maybe put some Coke, you know, blueberries in there, maybe a little bit more calories, whatever, but it's more filling and satiating, and it's, you know, it's there. And he's like, okay, give that a try. And, you know, it's volume eating as opposed to just numbers eating.
Right.
You're eating more whole foods. it's less calories, but the volume is so much more fulfilling. And it's just such a hard, it's a hard thing to grasp, especially when you're thinking, I want to weigh less.
Right. Yeah. This idea of like, I always say the number one complaint first week of the challenge is this is too much. And then the number two complaint is that I'm hungry. Because a couple weeks of getting some adaptation, they're like, I want more food. I'm like, see, let's give it some time. Because again, like we want to feed into that, right? We want you to feel good, and we don't want you to shouldn't be feeling like you're starving all the time.
Yeah,
No.
100%.
Building that balance and building that relationship, and I mean, just getting that wide array of ages that are doing that challenge as well. You kind of see the different cultures of diet and how it came up from generation to generation, right? And I mean, point in case, one of my guys in my challenge right now is like in his 60s or early 60s, right? And he's like, I'm doing good, right? And I was like, well, based on what you're showing me, you're like eating nothing. He's like, well, this is how I did it when I did wrestling. I was like, I'm trying to break that, man. Like, I want you to get your protein in, you know? And then his counter to that is like, well, my mom's a dietitian. And I was like, okay, well, would your mom not agree that we're not getting enough protein in? And like, so, I mean, his mom must be in her late 70s, early 80s talking about things. And I was like, I don't know what dietetics looked like back when she was maybe a little bit more in the practicing sense, but I think we can all kind of agree upon now that like, we need to be muscle centric, right? I want you to be protein centric to help you with being muscle centric. Therefore, at a bare minimum, can you at least eat all your protein for me? And he's done a better job since, you know, like, I like sending some photos about that. But like the first week, you know, it was like, dude, I don't know if I can get this through to somebody that is in that age group, you know, because they're twice my age. And, you know, like you just said, there's some biases that come in with that as well. Like that.
Dude, that's the
whole
Atkins, no fat, no carb, no nothing. And top of that, that's like that whole 90s to 2010 era of diet was so weird.
Take this ephedra and Oxycut and you'll be fine.
Dude, that's a bodybuilding cut. It was a ephedra, caffeine, and aspirin or something was the stack.
Yeah, baby.
Probably throw some T3 in there as well. I mean, if you're truly,
I was like, I don't know why he's having me do this, but he said to do it, get lean. And like when we cut for wrestling, like my mom helped me with my cut, and so I felt pretty good because we did it right. But all these kids, you were just like, just trying to.
What was your weight class, man?
135.
Oh yeah.
Did you walk around at?
145, 150, somewhere around there.
How long did it take you to get ready for like actual meets ahead of time?
So I want to say, dude, it's been a while. I think it was like 3 weeks. We would start to slowly like calorie deficit our way through, but then at the end, it was like, how much water can I spit off, or sit in the attic and watch a movie with a sweatsuit, like.
Yeah, you get it.
But even just learning that cut and like that little water manipulation trick at the end too, like. Yeah, I think like that's another part of this game that like us coaches have to have in our back pocket for people that are in weight specific sports. Like there's only so much that body can give us, and depending on the phase. And I had one of my clients who like switched to Olympic lifting, you know, last year, and we got her down to like 2 weight classes lower than she expected to be in. Whoa, masters. It was sick, right? And then we did have to do a little bit of a water manipulation at the end, but I had her tested ahead of time. I was like, let's see how much you can kind of sweat out like 2 weeks out, so we know what we can like what we need to diet to, and then how we can kind of refeed, and that you have a 2 to 3 hour window to like add calories back in, so that she felt decent on lifts. She only had to sweat out with a hot bath like 1.6 pounds the morning of, because we actually just went like lower,
slept it off.
Well, no, lower carb too. Like, so we didn't really adjust calories towards the end. It was just like a manipulation of the macros. And
it's strictly just getting that body to let go of water, right?
Yep. And just kind of load it, cut it. And I was like, oh, this is cool, because I never had anybody that needed to do that. It like in 10 years almost. It was crazy.
Yeah, I'm doing it with a boxer right now. I'm pretty stoked to see the results, because it's just fascinating to see.
Are you doing like keto style, the 5 days, like water starting at like a gallon on Sunday? When do they weigh in? Like a Saturday morning?
This boxer will weigh in on a Saturday morning. Yeah. Is
it a 3 to 4 hour or 24-hour refeed?
He'll have, for this one, I think a 3 to 4 hour window.
Oh, perfect.
It's a big enough window, because I was concerned that it wouldn't be enough, that we'd have to like make sure he's doing like some fast digesting carbohydrates, like immediately, like Pedialyte, like, dude, we need to get you fuel. But he's got enough time to actually, obviously, like immediately fuel, but get a meal in.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have like a sodium load. water load,
Perfect.
and then basically start to we're doing a little bit of calorie manipulation as well, but primarily like what you're saying, where by the time you get to the end of, I believe we start at 14 days starting to descend, but by the time you get to the end, you're at little, like 30 to 0 carbs. So
Perfect.
and low fiber, sodium's at 0 right there at the end, and then water's like little to none.
Your body's just pushing that out, dude. So I do like a 5-day version of it from Mike. What's his name? He's coached a lot of like combat athletes. He's got the Dolce diet guy, Mike Dolce. And,
Mike Dolce, yeah.
So we do like the 5-day protocol, and like it's been pretty good. That one's great, and I don't make anyone water cut 24 hours more than 3%.
Yeah,
water. Like I will never do it. If they're doing that, I'm like, first off, this wasn't a fight camp. This was a fat camp. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not what we're doing.
Yeah.
I don't.
They're gonna feel like garbage, dude. I mean, the whole idea of like, we want someone going into what they're going to be doing feeling the best that they can. And if I got someone just suffering, trying to like sweat and spit and like anything necessary to get that last bit of weight off, like you're going to feel like total crap, dude.
I got to say something
especially
about
with your
that,
brain.
Yeah, I'll say something about that though. Being a wrestler from like middle school all the way to college though, when guys were in vans traveling around the country, that was an edge though, because guys are so amped and ready to just kill someone. Like you could see it in the corner of their eyes that they're just gonna like. Okay, long story short, we had one time where we had to go from LA to Reading, 19-hour drive because we're just all over California.
Bro, that's a long drive with a bunch of wrestlers here.
To represent Team California. So this is like Team California Freestyle and Greco. And we had the heavyweight in our fucking in our damn van. And sorry for the language, but like he didn't make weight for 215. So he's like, I'm just gonna go heavyweight. Remember that drink, the Arizona, Marcos, the Arizonas? Every time we go to a gas station, he's like getting Takis in Arizonas, and I was like, I hate this guy.
Right in front of you?
In front of him. And the 112 pounder was cutting from like 126s, and he's just like, I hate you. Like, it's just like, but dude, our team, I think sometimes there's something about it where like it's super dangerous, but the mindset was like we were just all ravenous. We just broke every team that we like went against, just like ripped them apart.
Yeah,
this is a different mindset.
Yeah, dude. Wrestlers they're built different, dude. The mindset, like all of it, is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we could go on for forever, but
Marcos, you want to close this off, and that way we can chat a little after.
Yeah. Basil, where do they find you? What's your handle? We'll have it tagged, but just so they can hear it at the end to wrap this up.
Yeah. Instagram, Basil, Forerunner Nutrition, super easy to find. I don't think we got anything super wild. We do have a challenge framework-ish coming out. We'll announce it here soon with who we're working with, which I think you guys know who it is. You'll be pretty stoked, but it'll be for competitors, so it'll be pretty cool. But I think we got another month before we announce it.
You can announce it here because this episode won't be out probably in a month or 6 weeks.
I think we're good. Yeah. So. No, let me save it because I'll have to ask the guy first, but we'll announce it and share it. I do want to tell you guys about it. Maybe off air.
Off air. All right, we'll do it off air. We'll do it off air. Well, if the episode aligns with it and is afterwards, you'll have the details of it. So cliffhanger. Appreciate everybody for listening and letting us kind of talk shop. Obviously, you can see that a lot of us have just a slightly different way of articulating a very similar message, and hopefully, again, whatever coach you feel like might jive best with you, like. We're literally all in this together, even though we all run independent companies. And our mission is to get everybody to be as healthy as possible because obviously the stats don't lie. And there's tons of people that continue to need help in today's day and age. And again, nothing better than being a part of a community, having someone hold you accountable, whatever that is. Hopefully all three of us here can help you in the future. So until next time, Macro Perspective peeps, we are out.